What is going on, everybody, man? King Recon here. I was contemplating whether I wanted to do an afterthought to this chapter because, to be quite honest with you, I don't think I have much to add aside from what was already said, both in the video and in the comments section of the reaction video. But then I was like, you know what? There's certain things that I really want to talk about. There's certain things that I want to expand upon. So I don't expect this Afterthoughts video to go on for very long, if not long at all. There's just certain things within the chapter that I wanted to talk about that I feel like I didn't either go into much detail in because I've had a few days to like really sit on it and talk about, or I should say sit and allow it to like really process and really to think about it so I can come on here and talk about it. And certain things that I didn't get to see whenever I initially read the chapter. And one of those things being starting us off here with the amazing half of the cover page for the chapter 1000, like 99-1000 special. I did not get to see the color spread when the initial chapter was released. So seeing it here, the One Piece 1000 logs, and it paying homage to, in the very same way that in the spread it's like split in half, because what they're trying to do is have the 999 issue and the 1000 issue combined. And they did it with the cover. As you can see, like only half of Luffy's face is there in the cover, with like some of the artists from the magazine drawing different characters. Like I missed Gaimon in the initial reaction. I couldn't believe I missed Gaimon, man. You know how much we meme that guy on the channel. But they had Gaimon and Hancock and Shinobu, you know, characters like that on there. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to be on the other side and what other artists are going to come in there too, and who they're going to draw. And I also heard we're getting a Shokugeki no Sanji. So y'all know how much I love the first one. I'm definitely down to react to the second chapter in that. But yeah, man, we got the official color spread here, though, like I said, just like the cover page for the magazine as a whole, we have the color spread also split in half, where it is half of the color spread here, and we're going to have the other half with the other Straw Hats on the other side. And what I love so much about this color spread, even though I already knew it was coming, because I had been hearing about the rumors and people saying that we were going to get a color spread based on chapter 100, but to see it with my own two eyes, I was like, bro, it looks incredible. It really, really does. And really does a good job of showcasing us how far not only has Oda's art has, like, how many different styles and things that he's progressed as an artist ever since then. Like, just because he's had many different types of art styles throughout the course of the story, like even in between arcs, like Water 7 and his Lobby and Thriller Bark. Whenever you read the manga, it really does feel like he took on a new style in Thriller Bark, and he does it a lot within the arcs. Like he took on another style in Dressrosa, and like and it feels like he's taking on another one here in Wano, and it's like he's always trying to progress and change his art style, even though it's very minuscule. Because we reread the series so much, you tend to notice those little types of changes and whatnot, right? So to see how far he's come, if you look back at the chapter 100 color spread, where's my volume 12? So if you look back at the original chapter 100 color spread, right here. So see, this one is the one that we're going to get to next week, and I can't wait to see what that's going to be. But see, right here on this side. And granted, we only had the East Blue crew back then, but to see them here and doing the very similar types of poses, but in Oda's current art style, and like the additions of the characters that weren't there before, it's just really, really cool. And then, dude, Robin looks magnificent in this cover. Magnificent, dude. Not even gonna joke to y'all, man. You know, gotta keep it 100. Robin's out here looking incredible. But the color spread as a whole is looking great, and I can't wait to see the entire color spread whenever it's fully put together. Somebody hopefully will combine the two, as they normally do with like spreads, you know, put them together and allow them to like mesh in a way that doesn't make it feel like it's edited together. And I'm looking forward to seeing the completed spread next week, or I should say this week, next week, whenever the chapter drops, for the other side of the chapter 1000 color spread. So that was really, really cool. Whenever I turned on the viz and saw the color spread, it just, you know, the nostalgia and remembering how that color spread was, and then remembering And I was like, man, this is fantastic. I always love and appreciate stuff like this, especially over Oda, like he did with Volume 61. Paying homage to Volume 1 in there, representing a romance dawn once again with the Return to Sabaody arc. And I always love whenever he does little stuff like that, man. He's so good at doing stuff like that. So I was like, man, this is awesome. This is so cool, and the best way to celebrate Chapter 1000 by going back and paying homage to Chapter 100, which kind of has me a little shook because Chapter 100 was insane. Legend begins. That's a chapter we still go back to this day to theorize and talk about when it comes to Dragon and Smoker and their connection to the past and whatnot. But also, it has one of my favorite scenes in the entire series, with all of them declaring their dreams on the log and whatnot. So it's a fantastic chapter, and one that I can't wait to see what he's going to come up with here with Chapter 1000, especially if you go back and look at another milestone in Chapter 500. Chapter 500 was a GOAT chapter, man. Rayleigh stuff? It was... Ooh, Chapter 500 was a great chapter. So, and it feels like all the hundreds always deliver, in their own ways. But so now getting into the chapter itself, I still can't believe that we have a chapter sitting before us at this point in time, at this very moment. Listen, man, matter of fact, before I even get into that, within this arc, we have chapters with flashbacks to Roger and Whitebeard, Odin and Whitebeard, Odin and Roger, Shanks and Buggy, young Blackbeard. And within the very same arc, we now have a flashback of Mr. Portugas de Asu and Yamato, and then a flashback to Goldie Ace and Whitebeard. Like, son, what is it with this arc and these incredible flashback sequences? You know what I'm saying, man? Like, this one in particular from chapter 999. I mean, first of all, just the emotions running absolutely rampant from seeing Ace speaking again, from having him feel like it's in real time, or it's like, you're seeing him, you're talking to him, and you realize just how you miss him and how much you really loved this character. And the more that I go back and reread this chapter, the more I remember how much I loved Marineford for taking Ace as a character that I already enjoyed based on his character design, his attitude, and what appeared to be his motivations at the time. And then Marineford, through multiple rereads and rewatches, the more that I go through that arc, the more I appreciate just the amount of effort that Oda put into his character. And not just from a simple how great his character is written, or like the themes that are put into his character. Even beyond all of that, seeing it from a lens of like Flagnar's, this is really good. It's also just from a relating personal standpoint. Like, I'm sure that a lot of y'all have also had certain issues that Ace was dealing with within that arc. But in my case, I most certainly did have some of those, man. In particular, to what was something that was brought up in this chapter with Yamato and Ace, which is exactly what I want to talk about here in a moment. But it just really reminded me how much I really loved Marineford, man. And it's always great to have those types of reminders whenever you go back and think about, like, for example, during Fishman Island, whenever Nami had that incredible moment with Jinbei, and it reminded me how much I loved Arlong Park. Whenever you get moments like these that remind you of how much you love arcs that were placed earlier, it really is incredible to me how Oda continues to raise the value of arcs that have already happened before by showing you stuff in the future arcs that make other arcs, I'm not going to say better, but it allows you to go back into that arc with either a new perspective or more context that will bring more enjoyment out of it, right? And that, for me, I think is going to be just like that with Marineford whenever I go back and experience it again after this, after experiencing this flashback, because it's like the farther we get away from it, the more attached I feel like I continue to get to become with Ace, especially in this arc. And it just really reminded me how much I missed his character, how much I really love his character. And I was like, dude, like, yo, that's Ace, bro. You know what I mean? Like, that's Ace, son. And just seeing him talking, and it had the emotions running, man. It really, really did. But within the chapter, we had, first of all, the title of the chapter, The Sake I Brewed to Drink With You, phenomenal name. I saw a comment that said that Oda should write another song based on this title, 110%. 110%, man. That would be absolutely awesome sauce. Whereas, like, being sake represents a lot of stuff that's taken place in the story up until this point, I would love for a song like that to be written by, like, Brook to represent, like, the next generation, the future of this story. I think that would be really, really cool. But we'll see what Chapter 1000 has to say about that in terms of whatever in the world it's going to be titled. But the fact that 999 was titled that is really cool and just a great title overall for of course, the drink that was shared between Yamato and Ace. They didn't know each other for very long, but just like Ace, Sabo, and Luffy said before, once you have that sake cup with other people, they become your brothers. And for Yamato and Ace to immediately establish that connection together already showed how close they were just moments after meeting each other, and I thought that was really, really cool. But after the incredible little sequences where, like, they clashed and we saw everybody paying their respect to Ace, paying his respect to how strong Yamato is, Yamato paying respect to how strong Ace is. So you had little really cool moments like that. The fact that Yamato was by herself, protecting this island was just absolutely nuts, and their clashes and whatnot. But there's this one particular page that really stuck out to me for multiple different reasons, but it was more leaning towards just from a personal standpoint of things that I really enjoy in this story, and one of the reasons why I love this series as much as I do. And it's this page right here. It's whenever Ace is saying, "You can't choose your father, Yamato. So you hate your old man that much? Forget about the cuffs. Why do you let him chain your heart too? No, young Master Yamato, don't. It's a symbol of Master Koido's power." You know what I mean? Yo, Koido. Regardless, I wish I could leave too. I want to sail out to sea and go on adventures. I want to live as free as Odin did. Now, in the Afterthoughts, when Yamato was first introduced, I talked for God knows how long on length on where I think Oda's going to go with Yamato's character and why Yamato has the potential to end up being one of my favorite characters in this story by a mile, and it's probably going to end up having my favorite moment in this arc by the time that's all said and done, if that's the way that Oda wants to go with her character, right? And it's just in general one of the reasons why I love One Piece as much as I do is because of the way that Oda has different ways of representing and showcasing the theme of freedom and executing that in many different arcs, characters, whatever the case may be, right? But here on this one page, he shows that with Yamato, continuing to show that with Yamato, and shows that with Ace up on the top. And when I look at this panel right here, like I said before, where it recontextualizes certain things, now whenever I go back and re-experience Marineford, it's going to hit a little harder because of this sequence right here. Because having this come from Ace is huge. And knowing how Ace feels about Roger. And for him to tell Yamato, "You hate your pops that much? Forget about the cuffs. Why do you let him chain your heart too?" Like, in this instance, we know how much that bothered Ace for many years. I can assume that this was more or less Ace speaking to Yamato than Ace speaking to himself. Right? Ace saw a lot of himself within Yamato, and then proceeded to tell Yamato something that he would receive years down the line in Marineford. You know what I mean? And just over the course of the story. But to see the early progression of that within Ace, of like Flagnard's, like, you can't possibly hate this man that much. Like, I understand the fact that you're cuffed, but forget about all that. The most important thing here is that you let him chain what's inside of you. You let him chain all the freedom that's currently inside right now. And we know that Ace, just like Luffy, is somebody that values that. So, to see this piece of dialogue come from Ace really, really hit home. And the more that I think about it, the more emotional it makes me. And the more I'm like, Flagnard, because we just, like I was saying earlier, we know how his character arc went from the ASL flashback up until his death. We know all things that he dealt through with, different forms of dealing with with being born and why was I born, and what was it that is there anybody out there that actually loves me for me? He even goes as far as to say, thank you for loving me, to Luffy there at the very end, because he's like, Flagnards, I'm trying to do... Ace tried to do so much so that he wouldn't burden those that he cares about. Because he understands how much of a burden somebody else's life was to him. Roger's life was a burden to Ace for a very, very long time. So because of that, he took it upon himself to always want to do stuff himself, and we saw within this chapter, where he wanted to go to take on Kaido on his own. He was like, "Yo, Whitebeard, if you don't want to go, I'm going." And we see how he did that within the story with Blackbeard and whatnot. But he always tries to do stuff on his own, and he never wants to get anybody else involved, which is why he genuinely was both excited because people actually cared so much about him that they would come to go rescue him whenever he saw like Whitebeard and Luffy, and when they showed up, he was super happy and excited to see that they actually came for him. But on the other side, he was also really sad because he was like, yo, these people are out there fighting for me because of my own selfishness. And it's stuff like that that really makes me love Ace as a character, because he's so conflicted in that way, and because he's not a one-dimensional character, because he's a character that has these genuine feelings and emotions where you can feel it like Flagnards. And the more that I see from him in the novels and now within this flashback, it just really puts into perspective just how great of a character he really is, and a lot of different things that really make him a relatable character at that too. And I love these lines. I love these lines, like I said earlier, because it feels like he's looking into a mirror and he's talking to himself, and I think that's why him and Yamato hit it off so much, because they are very similar in those types of ways. And Ace understands that Yamato right now, above all else, wants to be free, and that's what Ace wanted so much in his childhood as well. That's why he set out to the sea to become a pirate, because he was like, yo, I'm not gonna let this past of mine, this burden of mine, chain me down any longer. I'm going to go out, I'm going to be free, I'm going to go find out who I am, I'm going to go out and claim the One Piece, I'm going to go out and make a name for myself. I want to go out and see the world. And in that way, and their connections to their parents, and in how they handle that aspect of freedom, is why they hit it off as well as they did. Which is why I'm glad that in that very same panel, both Yamato and Ace have a hand in destroying the dragon. And that dragon also could represent a chain in of itself. For Yamato, but the fact that they both have a hand in that, and then Yamato states like, yo, I wish I could leave too. I want to sail out to sea and go on adventures. I want to live as free as Odin did. And I really love that, man. It's hard to put into words how much I really appreciate stuff like this. Whenever you put a lot of care into your characters and you see it play out right in front of you, as character A and character B and character C, and how they continue to how there's these certain thing within all of them that brings them all together and it makes them well acquainted. It kind of feels like they were destined to always be friends because of the similar background that they have, and because of the similar motivations and the similar desires and needs that they have within them. And so once I saw this, at least, I was like, Flagnards, it makes total sense why Ace and Yamato hit it off. It makes total sense why Yamato values Ace's words so much, because it was also like Yamato was looking into a mirror and whatnot. So I really love this line. I love this page in particular, but the entire flashback as a whole was just, for such a short flashback, it was a very emotional one, and it was very, very good. And I already know once we get to this in the anime, it's going to end up being really, really special. Very, very special. By then, yeah, well, of course, we had some of the other stuff that took place. I loved what Ace said about his brother. And then Yamato was like, Flagnards, how many times are you going to talk about that dude? You feel me? So we had some of that, and of course the Marco and King stuff, the Whitebeard flashback, which is awesome, double spread, with King and Queen going to stop Marco, and Tama and Momonosuke and them and everything, finding out the truth with Ace and whatnot. And there's a whole bunch of revelations all over the place to a lot of different characters. But then after that, we have a particular moment where Yamato brings out Odin's journal. And she says, after all, Luffy's name has the letter D in the middle. Now, I've seen a few people already theorize, and I've also been talking about it with my cousin, where we're like, could next chapter be the chapter where if we don't find out what it is, we get a very major hint. And I feel like within this chapter, we got a major hint as to what the Will of D is, honestly. But just an even bigger hint within the next chapter, because chapter 100, we got introduced to Dragon. And within that chapter, we got to see the true storm of D. You know, we got to see two Ds, moving out there. You know what I'm saying? We saw Dragon, declaring his intentions out there with Smoker and delivering some incredible lines within there as well. Some of the most iconic lines in the series. And then we also got to see the beginning of Luffy's journey there. So it's like I'm very curious on how Oda's going to handle that in chapter 1000, because if we do get another insight into what the Will of D is, or if we actually get to find out what the Will of D is, how in the world are we going to find out? Like, is it going to be as simple as Yamato looking into the journal and explaining it? Or is it going to be something where it's hinted at, and then we're going to figure out exactly what it is later on? Because I still believe that, at least for the Will of D, Robin needs to be present. And it might just be me, because the way that I look at it, Robin has been so interested in the concept of the Will of D, the Poneglyphs, and the Void Sentry for so many years, that I always felt like she needed to be present when that thing was revealed to us as the audience. So I feel like Robin still needs to be there, which is why I'm hesitant on saying that the Will of D will be revealed next chapter. But I do think we're going to get a major hint next chapter, and then maybe Yamato might reveal the Will of D off screen, and then towards the end of the chapter, we will see the Will of D with our own two eyes coming from whoever it is, but I feel like Robin needs to be there. Because I feel like that is a part of her dream and her goal. I understand that the Void Sentry is what she's really trying to find with the Rio Poneglyph, but I feel like the Will of D is so intertwined within that I feel like Robin needs to be there. Now, if she's not there, she's not there, but that's just the way that I see it. That's the way that I see it, because Oda's a man of promises. He's one person that even though he breaks her ankles, he never breaks promises. When he says he's going to deliver something, he's delivering it. And that's one promise I feel like I have as a reader, that Robin will be there when the Will of D is finally revealed to us. I don't know if it'll be her that reveals it to us. I don't know if it'll be somebody else who reveals it to us, like somebody from the Kuzuki clan, Yamato herself. I don't know. Or Momonosuke. I don't know. But what I do know is that I think Robin needs to be there. Or at the very least, there needs to be some sort of correlation there. So I strongly believe, major hint, but we won't find out what the Will of D is until post-Wano or later on in the series. That's the way I'm looking. I'm going to say post-Wano, though, because there's so many things indicating that we're going to find out what it is here and now, with how many things that we've been talking about within this entire saga, with raising the dawn of the new age and dawn this and dawn that, and it's like, it's starting to become very clear where Oda's going with this Will of D thing. The entire saga, all the way back with Law, the Storm of D, and all that stuff. So we've seen so many different characters, hint towards. We've seen more characters have it. I think it's about time that we see either a major hint or the Will of D happen, but I don't think it's going to be next chapter. I do think it's going to be safe for post-Wano. But if it does happen next chapter, that would be an insane reveal to happen in chapter 1000. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that one. But those are just my 2 cents on that one. I look forward to seeing how y'all feel about that in the comment section down below. Even though I already saw a lot of your comments in the chapter reaction. And then we get to the end of the chapter, which I talked a lot about the koi, Koido and the fish, and the implications that could have with Big Mom and Kaido, into how that could possibly have been a situation where Big Mom did not know that this thing was the legendary fish fruit, and she was trying to drown Kaido back whenever God Valley was probably going down, and she attempted to betray him, and whenever it didn't work out, and Kaido got this extremely incredible fruit and possibly awakened into the dragon, then after that she was like, I'm just going to hold this over his head, because Big Mom is an opportunist in that type of way. But if that wasn't the case, and Big Mom actually ended up giving him the fruit knowingly, knowing that this is the fruit that she's giving him, then by the Flagnards, we're about to see some incredible tag team action from the two, and that's extremely scary, because, the one thing, like I was saying in the reaction, that I was banking on when it comes to Luffy and the squad being able to take out Big Mom and Kaido, is that they would be able to separate them, or at the very least where they wouldn't be able to coordinate together. Like, Big Mom and Kaido would be so focused on on trying to either one-up each other, or their rivalry, or just their interactions would get in the way of themselves, and it would lead to being their one and only weakness, is the fact that they couldn't work together. Because that's a very big theme in this arc. Betrayal, and the fact that whenever you're losing, your teammates leave you and whatnot. Something that Kaido has stated on multiple different occasions, and within Wano, we've seen the concept of betrayal. Right, so I feel like that was going to be the only thing that we could see, or the only instance that we could see where that we could possibly take out Big Mom and Kaido, is if they can't work together. But if they do end up working together, if they do end up actually being able to put aside their differences and actually work towards this goal that is the One Piece, this is about to be very, very scary. I have no idea how the squad is about to go about this. No idea. No idea, son. But aside from that, because I already talked quite a bit about that, instead in this last page, I want to talk about the homie, man. Y'all already know, on this channel we appreciate pudding, believe in pudding 2020. But in this chapter in particular, in the Viz translation, it states, "You mean pudding?" Well, first of all, Kaido says, "Can't that three eyes of yours read the ancient writing? You mean pudding? Who knows? I can't wait around for her true eye to awaken." Now, this line, it may seem like a throwaway line at first, right? But knowing Oda, and knowing the way that he never has any throwaway lines. And me as a tard, any one of my characters that have one line dedicated to them, I'm like, yo, we're going to make the most out of this as possible. You know what I mean? So, in Pudding's case, the most that I can add to this is just, I'm so happy knowing that her role in the story is not only not done, but it's not going to be exclusive to just being associated with Sanji and the Straw Hats in the future. That is something that I'm fine with. If her role was going to end up being just, an associate or an ally, whatever the case may be, of Sanji and the Straw Hats in the future, after the events of Whole Cake, sometime maybe in the final arc, whatever the case may be. But just knowing that Big Mom still has both a use for Pudding, and that Pudding herself might be able to unlock this thing, which would make her more valuable to overall everyone else that's around, means that her importance in the story is not yet over. And I'm talking big story implications, right? If she were to awaken that thing, and either Big Mom or somebody else, well, if Big Mom would have to be the first one that learns about it, but where somebody else might figure this out and know that Pudding has it, this could turn into something crazy. Because now Pudding and Robin would be high value targets to a lot of individuals. You know what I'm saying? So it could very well be a case, something as simple as everybody thinks Blackbeard, for example, is going to go after Robin, and instead he goes after Pudding, because he'll be like, you know what? I don't want to deal with Luffy right now. I don't want to deal with the pesky Straws, whatever the case may be. Big Mom and Kaido are fighting in Wano. Pudding's on her own. Pudding's by herself. You know what I mean? Could you imagine if one of the things that Blackbeard was hinting at back in chapter 956 was that he was going to go to Whole Cake Island, take on Katakuri, whoever's left back there, kidnap Pudding in an attempt to force her to awaken that third eye, and now he has somebody who can read the poneglyphs. That is a scenario I could most certainly see taking place. And that would open up a true war between the Yonko, if Big Mom is still around after this. A true war. You know what I'm saying? Because now, there's multiple different parties involved. And then that would also, in turn, bring Shanks into the whole picture. And whatnot, because he's been trying to move against Blackbeard this entire time. So, there's just so many different implications can be made from this one statement. But on the base level, I'm just happy that her importance in the story will continue from here on out. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's really exciting, because I really enjoyed the way that Oda executed on Pudding's entire character in Whole Cake Island. She was not only one of the funniest things in the story, but genuinely one of the most entertaining. And I've always been a big fan of Pudding, so to have more of her in the story is going to be a lot of fun and a real treat later on down the line. But that's about all I have, man, in terms of adding some more stuff into chapter 999. When it comes to 1000, right, And I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about whether I should make a predictions video or whatnot. As I stand here right now, I was already told by multiple people that the spoilers are out, so I'm avoiding all social media and whatnot, right? So I've already been considering not making a 1,000 predictions, just to, not even for myself, because I'm not going to be looking at the comments, but for other people who were to go on that video to also type their own predictions. I don't want anybody else to get spoiled because of me, right? That especially in chapter 1,000, which is why I've been hesitant on making 1,000 predictions. So just in case I don't make that video, I just want to give some small little things that I definitely do expect to happen in this next chapter. Like I said before, I definitely expect a hint towards the Will of D. I don't know what that hint is going to be. I don't know if it's a hint of something currently happening in Wano. I don't know if it's something around the world. I don't know. I don't know what that hint is, but I most certainly expect something with the Will of D, just like in this chapter that we got, because chapter 999 is sort of a clue toward what the Will of D is. But I expect something like that in 1,000. I fully expect Luffy to make it up to the rooftop. I definitely do expect a Luffy versus 3 Admirals type of panel with him. I don't know if he's going to be joined by Law and Kid, but I fully expect Luffy to be, versus 3 Admirals style, incredible double spread against Big Mom and Kaido in the next chapter. I'm expecting it right now. And then, I don't know if that's how Act 3 ends. I don't know if it'll be one of those instances where we have both chapter in here and then an around the world section also. I highly doubt that at this point. I think we'll save the next around the world section for somewhere later on in the arc. But I'm just really wondering, because after this chapter, and knowing that the scabbards are currently down, there's the hint that Big Mom even absorbed them and or ate them, which is very terrifying. Can you even imagine that, man? Like, poor scabbards. So they're currently down. We have no idea what happened to them. I'm going to assume we're not going to find out what happened to them until Luffy makes it up there. So I don't know what Oda's planning on doing with this chapter. I don't know if this is going to be a chapter just like this one, where it's going to be, seeing certain things that are happening in different parts of Onigashima, or if he's going to stick to one thing, or I don't know. But at the very least, even Will of D aside, I think the number one thing that we're going to see next chapter is at the very least a standoff between Luffy, Big Mom, and Kaido. I don't know if it's going to include Law and Kid. I don't know if it's going to include some of the other Straw Hats. I don't know if Robin's going to be able to make her way out. I don't know. There's a lot of very important valuables and assets that are currently going around. There's a couple of theories that I saw within the comment section stating that that Brooke and Robin were going to replace some of the other Straw Hats, and what they're currently going through. Like, I saw somebody say Robin's going to replace Sanji against Black Maria, and that Brooke might replace somebody else, right? I've seen some of those comments. But in terms of just base, like without going into too much detail, I'm predicting right now that this chapter that is incoming will be the face-off chapter, because what better way to celebrate 1,000 chapters of One Piece in my eyes than to showcase just how far Luffy has come, to where when you get on the roof and you see Luffy, Big Mom, and Kaido all on equal ground, bro, ready to go up in Lex Rumor. Big Mom and Kaido both looking down at the king, knowing damn well that is the individual that both of them want to take down. And then Luffy lets out his legendary line, like, yo, how do you expect to defeat us? And Luffy's like, yo, what do you mean, how do I expect to beat y'all? I'm the future king, baby. That's it. I'm the man who's gonna be king of the pirates. That's all you gotta know, baby. That's all you gotta know. And so, like, I don't know what Oda's gonna do. Like I said, he could break all of our ankles and none of that could happen. But that's just the way that I'm looking at it, in terms of, going back from chapter 1 to chapter 100 to chapter 1000, right? What is the one thing that could really make us be like, Flagmas, what a journey? And that is for Luffy to officially, on that rooftop, be like, yo, I'm an emperor and I'm here to stay. You know what I mean? I am here to stay. My adventure started a long time ago. But this is where my next part of my adventure begins. After I whoop the both of y'all and establish myself as a true emperor, as a true great pirate on these seas. Like, come on now, that would be goat. That'd be mad hype, and I'm saying that as a Luffy tard. Like, that would be something I would love to see. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, man. But aside from that, I hope it is an awesome sauce of a day. I'm going to try to look at the comments. I'm going to wait until somebody tells me when it's okay to look at the comments, and I'll look at the comments. Because I'm going to be taking extra precautionary measures for Chapter 1000. This is one chapter that you can never be too cautious for. Because it is such a massive milestone, something that even Oda himself, I'm sure, has been looking forward to for a very long time. And I would hate for anyone to get spoiled on this, whether you're a reactor or not, or a content creator or not. I'm just a fan of this story. If I could, just wish one thing on this on today, aside from obvious things that currently take place in the world, and in terms of just from an entertainment standpoint, I would never want anyone to be spoiled who is a fan of this series on this chapter. You know what I mean? So it's like Flag Nerds. This is going to be a big one. I cannot wait. I think this will be the last time that y'all hear from me in regards for the manga stuff until that chapter comes out. So, man, the next time that y'all hear my voice, we'll be in here in the quadruple digits, reacting to the latest installment in the Wano Awesome Sauce of the best-selling manga in history. Chapter 999 was a banger. Really, such an amazing chapter. I've reread it like 10 times since I gotten off that thing. It was just so amazing, and I can't even imagine. Like what scares me is the fact that I'm probably gonna like it even more once it gets animated. That's really scary. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, because I already love 999 as much as it is. But yeah, man, I'll see y'all next time. I hope it is an awesome day. Take care. One Piece greatness. Man, dude. Let's get it. Let's get it, man. Next time, 1000, baby.